guys, Ryan here at Excelerator.Solutions. Going to be talking today about how to use the index and match functions to create a little more flexibility in your worksheet, make your worksheets a little more dynamic, especially if you're handing them off to some end users. So if you've never heard of these functions before, let's go ahead and cover off on each one individually before we combine them. The index function is simply a function that returns a value or reference of a certain cell within a given range. You might hear me refer to that as an array as well later on in this video. So you come in, and once you're inside the index function, you can see you've got a couple different ones here. The reason there are two is one is from an older version of Excel and one's from the newer version. Typically for this example, we're just going to be using the one with the three inputs here. So array. So array is just simply arrange a table, if you will. So most of the time it's going to be whatever your table is looking at here. A row number and column number, those are going to be columns. So if we put in here 1 and 1, it's going to return that first position within our table here. You can see it returns a count. So let's go ahead and let's change this to 2 and 2. You'll see what we get here. You can see it moves over here and gets us that 100 here. So if we change this back to 1 on our column, that moves us down our list and gets us 401k there. So index is simply a means to navigate to a specific cell within an arrange. And what's important about that is when you combine it with the match function, you get the match function returns that number for you. And so to see that in action, we're going to go ahead and look up salaries here within this array. And again, kind of think of an array as a range as well. The last part here is match type. For what we're looking at today, we're going to be looking for an exact match. You can also, if you're looking for numbers, you can do a less than or greater than. Okay, so match returned 3. It did not return salaries, but what that tells me is that salaries is the third position in my table. And that's important because then if I use that as an input inside of my index function, well, my index now returns salaries. So super helpful there, combining those two functions. All right, so now that we've gone over them, we're going to go ahead and see these both in action over here. I've created kind of a generic budget versus actual report based on this simple data we have here. Got a couple of drop downs for account and a drop down here for period. So if we want to return budget here, we're going to start with our index function, and our array or our table is going to be our budget table here. And so that our report is dynamic, we want to use the match function to tell us what row our user has selected. So we're going to nest the match function inside of here, and we're going to give it the lookup value of whatever account they select here. And that needs to reside within this array here. Now it's really important, even though your user is not ever going to be looking up the word account, it's important that your array here for match is the same size, or rather in this case the same length down that your index function is. Otherwise Excel will throw you an error. And again, we're going to use that 0 type match to get an exact match. And then now we also want to find the column number. So to do that again, we're going to use that match function. And this is why you might hear people refer to this as index match match. And so for this, we're going to be looking at the period, and we want to return that based on what they put in up here. Again, you've got to make this the same width as your initial array here. So we make sure we do that, and we're going to match that on 0, and let's see what we get. Well, we get an NA right now. Why is that? We haven't actually selected anything. So select salaries, and let's say February. So that's returning 1,000 there for us. And just so you can see that that is in fact true, let's go ahead and change that to 1,500. There you go. You can see it is in fact getting that right, correct number for us. So to do that for actual, we're going to do the same thing just on this side. So row number is going to match based on this input here. And we're going to match the column number up to our period input here. not quite the right size. Let's try that again. And there we go. Very quickly, we have a nice budget versus actual number here. And what's really great about when you do it this way is now if you got an end user looking at some reports, they can cycle through these in the drop downs, return whatever information they want, cycle through the periods. Those are going to update for them. Just super handy. Gives a nice clean look to your user interface and makes your report act a lot more flexible. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, give it a thumbs up if you would. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and look out for the next video. Thank you.